Hi, my name is Chad Calder, and today I'm sharing my first case study. I was hired through Upwork to develop a Claris Filemaker solution for a construction company to manage preliminary notices, invoicing, waivers, and other documentation that they have. I'm about 20 hours in and halfway through the project, I think, even though I have a sense that the project is going to evolve beyond this initial job. So I'm now looking at integrating financial data, automating some workflows, and addressing some challenges and possible value-added options that I can bring. One of them being parent-child relationships. All right, so let's dive into parent-child relationships. I first encountered the concept of parent-child relationships in inventory management. And the way I learned it is if you think of a product like a men's t-shirt, the t-shirt itself is the parent. The variants or variations on the t-shirt, like color or size, are the children. So each child has its own unique SKU. So a red, small men's t-shirt has its SKU, but it belongs to that parent product, which is just the men's t-shirts. In the construction world, this becomes a little bit more complex. Take, for example, this scenario. We have Acme Corporation, a company with multiple locations. Each location is a child of the parent company, Acme Corp. In this context, parent-child relationships help us to organize and track data for each job site, with each branch or location serving as that child. Now, to complicate things further, you can have multiple parents. So, for example, in this case study, we're dealing with Acme Corporation as one parent and Build LLC as another. Acme represents retail maintenance jobs, while Build LLC, a general contractor, represents new construction jobs. Each parent has its own unique attributes. So why is this important? Well, it helps the construction company track revenue streams more accurately. If all your revenue is tied to just one client or one job type, you're exposed to really high risk. But by showing diversification through these parent-child relationships, like retail maintenance versus new construction, you can demonstrate to stakeholders or the board or investors, whatever, that your revenue is stable and it's diversified. And this lowers the perceived risk, which is a big deal when presenting company financials. All right, let's take a quick look at the end result so that you can get an idea of how this works before we dive into the details. So in this example, we have our two companies, Acme Corp and Build LLC. If you look at the Jobs tab for Build LLC, you'll see that it has one job, which is Acme New Construction, because we were hired by the general to do the new construction. In the Sites tab, you'll notice that the site or the child is Acme 77070. 77070, yeah. And that's just that's the site name. Now, if we switch to Acme Corp, we'll see the job. There is a job, but this one is Acme Maintenance. It's a different job. And if you go to the Site tab, you'll see it's the same location, Acme 77070. So what's happening here is we have two companies working on separate jobs, but they share the same site. The site is the child with two parents, and each parent has its own unique attributes for financial reporting. Okay, let's just take a quick moment to talk about Claris FileMaker and Claris FileMaker Cloud and what they are. So for those who may not know, Claris FileMaker is backed by Apple and has been a robust solution for many years, decades. In fact, the first few companies I worked for used FileMaker extensively. Over time, platforms like HubSpot, Salesforce, NetSuite, they've gained popularity as low code or off the shelf solutions. But, HubSpot, for example, it's a widely used CRM, but in my experience, there's no such thing as a true no code or even low code solution. If you look at sites like Upwork, you'll see entire industries of people who specialize in coding these platforms. So the reality is every company, it just has unique needs that off the shelf solutions can't fully meet without customization. And that's where Claris FileMaker makes a perfect solution. It's an incredibly robust platform that can be tailored specifically to a company's needs without the compromises of more, generic solutions. The app can be accessed through a desktop application, which I'll show you, or via a browser, which is what most of my demonstration is showing, is just on a browser. It can service hundreds of users simultaneously, and FileMaker takes care of all the heavy lifting on the enterprise side, which is why it's so much better than coding a completely custom code solution. So with a bit of coding, not necessarily low code, I'll admit, but certainly manageable, you can build a highly customized solution that fits the exact business needs that you require. So as you can see, I've done quite a bit in just these 20 hours. While there's some upfront investment, the end result is just this very robust, scalable solution that's accessible across multiple devices. All right, let's do a quick walkthrough of the customer lifecycle for the solution, and so I can demonstrate what I've coded so far. So everything starts with the company, because if you're an estimator, and that's usually your first stop, and let's say in this case we're targeting Acme Corp, which is our starting point. Once you have company information entered, the next step is to add a contact. You'll notice that when we assign a contact to a company, we already have the companies available in our dropdown. And that's because we've created the company first, making it simple to assign contacts directly to the relevant organizations. Now, one of the features I've added as a value added is the USPS address validation, which I've done via an API. I've coded this API before, so I can easily plug it into the solution, and it typically only takes about an hour to fully integrate. It's a great value add for clients, even though originally it probably took me 8 to 10 hours to build that API. So why is that important? Well, validating addresses ensures accuracy, but it also helps in assigning unique IDs to the child entity, which is the site. So if you think of the SKU for like t-shirts, as I mentioned before, if we take the elements of a validated address, like the street number, a portion of the street name, city, state, zip, you can create a highly unique identifier with almost zero chance of duplication, especially when you add the country on the end, the US. And that validation is essential to making IDs, which is what children run on, so you don't have duplication or other problems. So another feature I've added is geocoding, which generates the GPS coordinates for each address. And this, again, is an API call. And again, it's a great value add. I charge about an hour for that integration, even though that one probably took 8 to 10 hours. So why is this valuable? Well, if you're using the data visualization tool like Power BI or possibly even Tableau, these platforms use GPS coordinates to map the data geographically. This is critical for showing revenue diversification on a geospatial map, which is a powerful way to present business insights to stakeholders. So in this case, I have 2 API calls happening, one for the USPS validation and another for the geocoding. All right, continuing with the customer lifecycle after entering the company and the contact details, the next step is for the contact to provide a site or geographical location for the estimator to go and create an estimate, whether it's for maintenance, new construction, or something else. So we need to create a site. In my system, site names can be anything, but I like to keep things structured and tidy. So by default, it assigns the site name as the company name followed by the zip code with its 4-digit extension. This makes it easy to identify at a glance, with the company as the parent, or the company is the owner, and the zip code is the child, representing the location. And this is customizable. You can go in and change that. It's not an ID in any way, but I naturally do it because I like the structure. So each site has its own unique ID that's separate, and the naming convention is just for clarity. Sites are also assigned to a company, and in our case, it's the owner of the site. So Acme owns the site. However, ownership doesn't always mean that Acme is the client paying for the work done on that site. So when we're talking about parent-child relationships in the sense of revenue, that's what I showed at the beginning, where it can be either or, it could be two. But in this case, it has an assigned owner. You can think of it that way. So I've already demonstrated how we could do that. And as with company addresses, I've integrated the USPS validation and GPS geocoding for site addresses, also to ensure accuracy, and especially if we want to use the data for geospatial tools later, which we definitely would want to do that. All right, so we've created the site, we submitted the contract, it's been approved. The next step is to create a job, which brings us back full circle to where we started from at the beginning, looking at our jobs. So in this case, now you see me creating 2 jobs, one for Build LLC, which is our new construction job, and the other for Acme Corp, which is going to be the maintenance job. And you can see all of the client details and everything pops down and auto-populates real nicely. All right, I think that's enough for today. If you're interested in following along as I continue to build out this solution, please hit subscribe and stay tuned for more updates. If you'd like to have something like this done for your own business, feel free to reach out to me on Upwork. I'll leave the link to my Upwork page in the description below. Thanks for watching, and we'll see you next time.